Please welcome Governor O'Malley.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for your kind introduction. And thank you all for the very important work that you do. There are some things that are so big and so critical that we can only hope to accomplish them by coming together and by working together. And certainly the education of our next generations is one of those things. So I know there are people here from many different walks of life. One of the things that we share, though, is the passion and understanding of just how absolutely tightly connected the education of our people is to our economic opportunities as a country. So it's wonderful to be here with all of you. I also want to recognize that I am joined here by the chairman of our state school board, and that is James DeGraffenreich, who used to be with Washington Gas, and then we gave him a much tougher job of being the head of our state school board. And Dr. Bernie Sadusky is also here. He is our interim school superintendent. We're also joined by Clara Floyd, who is the leader of the Maryland Education Association, without whom these accomplishments would not be possible. And also David Helpman is with her as well, who we will see throughout these weeks in the halls of the Maryland General Assembly and the State House. Let me thank you for the work that you do on behalf of public education. I love Education Week magazine. I would like to tell you that the only reason that we work so hard on education is to receive your recognition, but that would not be true. At the same time, it is nice, and it's not only nice, I think it's also critically important in this time when so many of us have become very, very cynical about what our government at any level, city, county, state, federal, is capable of achieving. Very cynical about what progress we're capable of making together. These sorts of rankings are really, really important. A man who named Jack Maple, who taught me a great deal about leading and organizing big human organizations, said that any organization will either lean towards the leaders or lean back towards the slackers, depending on whether or not you recognize the leaders. So recognizing those states that are making progress, that are doing good things, is not only good, not only makes us feel good in states like Maryland, but it's important for the country. So thank you. Secondly, on behalf of the people of our state, I want to thank you for recognizing the achievements of the students, the parents, the principals, the administrators, the advocates, the elected representatives, and yes, the citizens of our state, without whose support none of these accomplishments would be possible. With all of the alienation and disconnection in this world, it is still true that the citizens of each one of the states run their states ultimately. And I've had the blessing to be able to work for the people of Maryland who understand in their enlightened self-interest that the investments we make in education are investments we make in the future that all of us share. So I want to briefly share with you some of the choices that we're making in Maryland where we still believe that to govern is to choose, which have helped us attain this #1 ranking now in each of the last 4 years. Man, that feels good to say. As well as some of the reasons behind some of these choices. So let me dive in. I understand that we're going to have a little talk after. Okay. From the earliest days of our administration, job creation and its primary ingredient, education, have topped our agenda among those priorities, those investment priorities that we must make, that we must protect, that we must defend, especially in difficult times. Before the Great Recession hit back in 2006, I traveled from living room to living room throughout our state and articulated the 10-point plan for moving Maryland forward. Some of you had to listen to that a number of times, and I'm not going to ask you to repeat all 10 points, but I want to share with you the first 4. Number 1 was Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown and I were going to make our government work again. Number 2, we were going to make our government work again. And number 3, we were going to make our government work again. Number 4, by the way, was that we would fully fund K-12 education, and we would begin to invest again in school construction. I believe now we're one of only 5 states that still does make investments in school construction. And we chose to do those things in order to improve our economy, yes, improve outcomes for our kids, but understanding that that improves our economy, especially if our country and our state is moving towards an innovation economy, a knowledge-based economy. So we have, even in these times when we've cut $6.8 billion out of our state budget, we've nonetheless increased, I think, almost every year, with the strong backing and advocacy of our teachers. And we've increased our investments in K-12 education. We have cut record amounts from everything else, but we've increased our investments in education. Number two, in tandem with those record investments in operating funding, we have invested a record $1.5 billion and counting in school construction. That leverages additional dollars at the county level. Earlier this week, I was at Germantown Elementary in Anne Arundel County, in a school that has some of the more modest incomes of any of the schools in Anne Arundel County. And instead of children going to school in temporary learning shacks behind big chain link fences that we saw 6 years ago when we were at Germantown Elementary, there's now a brand new school there. I'll be damned, you get what you pay for. And the kids have smart boards, and the teachers have modern technology, and there's actually sunshine that can come through the windows, and the children can see the blue sky outside of them. In 2010, we proposed investing $250 million in school construction. This year, we are increasing that and asking for the General Assembly's support to do $100 million better with a $373 million investment, which will support, by the way, 11,650 jobs for those of you that believe job creation is important. Number three, because our students will someday be competing for kids not just in New York or New Jersey, but kids in New Delhi and New Zealand and all around the world, Europe, Africa, Asia, South America, we are resolved to set expectations in our classrooms that will allow our kids to compete in a global economy with other kids in places like Finland and Singapore. And so we have adopted, we have embraced, and we're one of the first states to adopt and embrace the Common Core curriculum. We have set up educator effectiveness academies to train teachers and principals from every school in our state to teach this new curricula. And we are developing new assessments which will better benchmark our students' progress, not just against kids from other states, but among students all around the world. Number four, we believe that by adopting the Common Core curriculum, we will also be able to move closer to one of the big goals that we've set. And in our administration, we believe that you have to set goals. Otherwise, even well-intended and intelligent people have a difficult time joining forces to make progress if they don't know what the goal is. So one of the goals we have set is to increase student achievement, school and college and career readiness 25% by 2015. Among the benchmarks there are 8th grade reading scores, which have been increased 21% since the benchmark year. We have increased math scores in our 8th grade cohort by 16%. And we've brought together stakeholders from education, labor, industry, and government to help us continue to work towards reaching and then exceeding that 25% goal. Number five, we put a statewide priority on STEM education. Everybody says that, but how do you do it? Our goal is to increase the number of STEM college graduates in our state by 40% by 2015. In the past, we never measured those outcomes, let alone measure them individually by college and put them on the internet so 5 million eyeballs can see who's improving and who's not. So far, we're more than halfway there at 22%, and we continue to forge ahead. As you might guess, your prize for achieving any of these goals ahead of schedule is to have the goal and the bar raised. Y'all didn't laugh as much at that as I thought you would. We've also created something that I find exciting, and that is a new STEM innovation network. The internet gives us a capacity that humankind has never had before, really to use their government as a platform for connecting talented, like-minded people who share a passion and commitment. You've seen that with Facebook and other things. We've created STEMnet, and we are bringing together our business community leaders, educators, government, higher ed, nonprofits, and other stakeholders. And through this network, we're setting up STEM teachers with mentors in the private sector mostly, practicing professionals in industry who are able to provide our teachers with a better and more real sense of the latest trends and developments within their fields, within their workplace, that then they can translate back into the classroom. And part of the magic is that it allows our teachers to have a background in the STEM clusters where the demand for talented graduates is the greatest, where our businesses are the strongest. Areas in our state, for example, like biosciences or cybersecurity, green technology. We're also giving educators online access to STEM curricula, lesson plans, webinars, tutorials, classroom-ready experiments, and professional development. And on another front, in partnership with the Obama administration, who has been a tremendous help to states that want to improve education, and the National Math and Science Initiative, we are replicating the University of Texas's You Teach initiative, which allows teaching students to cross-apply credits from education classes and classes in the STEM disciplines, therefore graduating more future teachers who have some background in these subjects. We're also partnering with Project Lead the Way. And in fact, we have increased by 335%, for those of you measuring performance along with us, the enrollment in Project Lead the Way. This is a national nonprofit that's developed a STEM curriculum which emphasizes hands-on experiential learning. They have an expression in law that the client drives his or her case. Students are increasingly driving their own learning, and increasingly they want experiential learning. The idea here is to make sure that students graduate high school with the tools they need to succeed in college-level STEM coursework. 20 of our school systems have put these curricula in place, and enrollment is just under 11,000, up from 2,500 back in 2006. Number 6. And there are only 7 in total, for those of you wondering if I have a list of 493 things. Number 6, recognizing that one of the things that differentiates Maryland from our other states is the strength of the diversity of our people. We have been partnering with our university system, Prince George's Community College, Bowie State University, University of Maryland Biotechnology Institute, on an initiative to recruit more minority STEM students. And as part of this initiative, we will give hundreds of county high school students the opportunity to take college-level science courses while they're going through their last years of high school. The initiative will also give 100 college students the opportunity to teach in local schools, which we hope will create a recruitment pipeline for us. 7, and finally on my hit parade checklist, we're ramping up career and technical education, which is so very important. I know this is a tough one because so oftentimes we're so academically oriented to STEM disciplines or to reading or to math, but in a lot of our high schools, and I say this as the former mayor of the city of Baltimore, and all cities have challenges when it comes to children from families of modest means and poverty, one of the best ways to keep kids in high school is to teach them a marketable trade at the same time they're in high school. I mean, especially given the long slog we have ahead of ourselves in making college more affordable, the best help you can give a kid from a poor family that's never been able to send anybody from his or her family to college is to give them a marketable trade skill in CTE before they graduate. So then they can work and go to community college and continue to move up the rungs of success and economic opportunity. So recent study found that 38%, for example, of the bioscience jobs in Maryland could be filled by individuals with less than an associate's degree if they had the proper training. And quite often, the high schools that where kids would be most excited about CTE also happen to be located closest to our employment centers in the hearts of great American cities. So let me conclude by sharing these last couple thoughts. Our country's going through a tremendous challenge. And at the same time, I know that there are some who will honestly ask, well, why do we need to invest more in education? Or why even make education such a high priority? Why choose to make investments for public education when you're cutting everything else? And the best answer to that I have are 3 words: jobs and opportunity. If we want to see what other successful nations around the world are doing, they're doing what we have been doing for 230 years. They're investing in educating every generation of their people at higher and better levels. And that's what they're doing. Our economy in Maryland especially is an innovation economy, but really the economy of the United States among the nations of the world is an innovation economy. And therefore the brain power of our people is the most important commodity, the most important natural resource we have. And since we don't have 1.3 billion of them, We need to maximize every individual potential as much as we can, and there is no better investment, no wiser investment, no more effective investment for doing that than education. Education that works, education that's effective at improving student achievement. Job creation in an innovation economy requires leveraging that asset of our people's brain power. Opportunity depends on our ability to give our people the skills we need. As H.G. Wells says, as we look at the challenges with climate change and resource scarcity, human history becomes more and more a race between education and catastrophe. I vote for education. We are going through a period of profound economic change, and everybody knows it. The changing global economy is forcing our economy to become more knowledge-based, more information-based, more innovation-based, and more interconnected day by day. 30 years ago, when I graduated from high school down the street here at Gonzaga College High School, the United States ranked number 1 in high school graduation rates among our global competitors. Now we've slipped to 11th. And that time we were number 1 in college completion. Now we've slipped to number 12. When it comes to STEM education, it becomes even more troubling. A decade ago, American students recently ranked 16th in science. A decade ago, we were 12th in math. We've slipped from 15th to 24th. And it's not what other countries are doing to us. It's what we're not doing for ourselves. For the last decade, I'm afraid and regret to say, we have been greatly undercapitalizing the phenomenally powerful idea that is the United States of America. That idea that says that if we invest in our people's talents, the product will be innovation, it will be job creation, and it will be expanding opportunity. No one else is going to make these investments for us. We're glad when other countries want to make investments in the United States, but nobody's going to come over here and do this for us. These are things we have to do ourselves, and there are some challenges so large that we can only hope to tackle them together. So in this economy, where there will be winners and losers, we have to make a choice on whether we want to win or whether we want to lose. And educating our children, creating jobs, spurring innovation this is how we win. And that's why Education Week's rankings is so important. It's important to recognize that there are things, in fact, that we can do well, that we can do better, and that the future is not a gift. It's an achievement if we choose to make the right choices to achieve it. Thanks very, very much.